My name is Richard Kemish, and I'm joined today at the Central and Eastern European Forum by Hubert Cottogni, Director of Mandate Management at the European Investment Fund. Thank you very much for joining us, Hubert.
Thank you.
We're hearing a lot about the new Green Deal from the new Commission from Brussels. How's that going to influence the EIF's day-to-day behaviour?
Richard, thank you very much for having me today. Indeed, it is a spot-on question, and I guess it is President von der Leyen who is going to address the Parliament today in Strasbourg about the details of the deal. For us, being a very important implementing partner for the Commission, both under the Juncker plan, the FC, but also in the InvestEU going forward, I would reckon that the Green Deal will influence primarily the EIF's decision making. Was the decision making primarily based on risk assessment, on the ability to mobilize private investors in certain projects? We will in addition have to look in particular on the sustainability, on the green of the underlying projects. Now, what is green is obviously wide, because green is not only environmental. What is important, and this is in particular important for the EIF, which is the support of SME finance, it will also be enabling technologies, innovations, which will help to give some steam to the green agenda. So for us, I would reckon it's in particular those SMEs, those startups, those enterprises scaling up, which will boost the European agenda, in particular on the innovation, and support the Green Deal in this respect. In 2020, and the good news is we are just increasing the FC envelope. And here in particular our main programs, the InnoFin program, the COSME program, the CCS, the Culture and Creative program, but also the EASY, the social program. So these are portfolio guarantees. In this respect we have additional firepower, and I guess 2020 indeed is a year of transition. We will, what I just said before, try to implement in a softer way, because in 2021 it will become law under quote.
You mentioned in there the work you do with SMEs. That's obviously long been a priority of yours, usually on the basis of cooperation with private sector partners. We hear a lot about the ability of the private sector to lend to SMEs and regulatory constraints and what have you stopping them. How would you characterise the ability of the private sector to lend?
I mean, I guess what we have, again, I would like to base the answer a bit on FC. FC has been a very successful project because it has helped us, and therefore the European banking community, to one extent. We also work with the capital funds, but the banking community to re-lend to SMEs. SMEs are considered high risk. Unfortunately, this remains unchanged. But at the same time, given often the small volumes of credit, they are relatively expensive. So for just looking at the productivity, an SME loan is still a fairly difficult asset for banks. Now with our products, and here we are talking portfolio guarantees, we allow the banks, and these guarantees are often not priced, that is an important fact, or very narrowly priced. We allow banks to take in the additional risks, because we will be covering those risks between 50 up to 80% on a loan-by-loan basis. Depending on the guarantee structure, and here in particular these uncapped guarantees under InnoFin, they will provide to the banks capital relief, and in some case regulatory capital relief. And that obviously is the flavor of the month. This is what the commercial banks really want, and this is why they engage with us, to not have to underpin these risks with capital, because the benefit of our guarantees, which we pay within 60 days of default. So it's also the AAA not irrelevant. But by doing so, not only that the banks lend, but they lend at terms which are much more market oriented. And that meant, if you look at tenors, that the terms of lending, they're fit to the project. But very often this is what we see in the startup phase, young companies, that they lend to young companies, and they lend in many instances unsecured because they are building confidence on one hand on our guarantee, onto the second leg, so to speak, on the cash flow generation of these enterprises. And that obviously makes lending much easier for the risk departments of the various commercial banks. And we have seen that these guarantees not only have a major impact in good old Europe, but in particular in Central Eastern Europe. And here with various initiatives, we were able to really stimulate the lending market. And here I open one parenthesis, we have been very successful in implementing similar products for the agricultural sector, where we have pioneered this in France, but where we see now more and more appetite also in the Central Eastern European countries. I guess that is a model which also we would like to see imported into the next MFF, next multi-annual financial framework, because it will also support heavily the Green Deal going forward.
Can I ask a very general question to finish with? Across the CEE economies, just generally, where do you think the biggest increase in EIF funding is going to be in 2020?
2020, as I said, we were lucky. We were able to increase the guarantees under these various windows. We would like to continue specializing and focusing in particular on innovation and digitalization. These are the sectors where we believe we can do a lot and where the economies structurally have to change. So we would like to support SMEs primarily in their conversion into the digital world. We know that approximately 20% of the SMEs are fit for the digital environment as of today. So this is what we will continue pushing a lot. Innovation more generally, and here I mean not only innovation in inventing new things, but also innovating your business processes innovate your business processes more generally. And then with COSME, we would like to see more support of high-risk companies. This is a program which indeed should allow banks to look at smaller enterprises, at high-risk enterprises, for which we have these particular guarantees. Last not least, we will certainly try to support with the support of EC to also push microfinance institution into beefing up a bit the system. Why is that important? Because we believe that under the Green Deal, we will have, in particular in those countries, for instance Poland, which will be impacted heavily. The social agenda is critical, i.e. retraining of coal miners, redeploying human resources, re-educating them is going to be a critical measure which will safeguard the Green Deal to be successful.
That's certainly something we hear a lot about on the panels already at this conference.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the Green Deal, without what the Commission calls the just transition mechanism, for which they have earmarked approximately 100 billion, it will not work, because we will have to get the citizens to support us, the politicians and subsequently the citizens. And this can only work if we safeguard and communicate clearly what is going to be the future for those coal miners. We cannot allow those to be left behind, and that is indeed our critical mission. So it's not only about the innovation, digitalization, but in particular the social safeguarding of those who will in the short term lose potentially their jobs, and in interim really train them up for new challenges.
It's a vital sector. Good luck with it.
Thank you,
very
Richard.
much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.